Russians of Reddit, what do you think of Wagner's rebellion? Yesterday I fall asleep at 12 p.m. GMT +3 thinking that tomorrow I'll have a great time. My friend will be graduating tomorrow and we will have a lot of fun. Today at 9 I woke up and opened the news in order. The commander of the most repulsed mercenary army, whose ads have been hanging on many banners in Russian cities, announces a bloody march on the city where I live. Russian commanders gently call for them to lay down their arms, because we are brothers of the same blood. Videos arrive of ordinary civilians calling on Wagner soldiers to retreat. Anti-terrorist operation mode is announced in my city around the time I fell asleep. Putin's urgent address comes out around the same time I woke up. My family is urgently preparing documents and passports. Day and night me and my friends hear helicopters honking. The whole city is canceling graduation parties, parks, museums, and cafes are closed. As if there was a quarantine, there are bomb threats everywhere. The Wagner military units capture military facilities into regions in one night. Just look at the map. It's like almost an entire state. The distance from Rostov to Voronezh is 500 kilometers. From Voronezh to Moscow is 500 kilometers. Update. Wagner has reached the Lipetsk region. That means they have to doctor. 400 kilometers to Moscow. Bridges are blocked. Roads linking the regions are blocked too. From Rostov, the roads are closed. The ring roads around Moscow are fenced with military equipment. Rivers are blocked. Along with buses, tanks, and military vehicles drive along one road. People in masks put sandbags, the whole online. City map is red with stop symbols on each road leading from the south of the city to the center. The internet is up and down. The same goes for some of social networks. 17 hours have passed since the riot started. 25,000 heads of mercenary army against the forces of an entire country. Wagner suffers minimal losses. The Russian armed forces have 180 men in captivity, 3 lost helicopters and armor vehicles. It's just unbelievable that there are no civilian casualties except for a couple of casualties. I didn't think the war would reach Moscow, and I didn't believe people who said that Prigozhin would stage an uprising. What do I think about the uprising? Nah, I can't think right now. I'm sitting on pins and needles, waiting for the danger signal to come so I can rush out of the country at full speed. Thank you for your honest input. This answer touched me in a way. I wish your family and friends well. So far there is no danger. Things just happen so fast, but I don't know if Moscow will become a hot spot, or if it will be safe for the citizens as in the 3 areas where Wagner has already passed through. Thank you for your kind words. Now just imagine this how every Ukrainian has been feeling and living for the last 16 months. With one exception, lots and lots of civilian casualties. Russian here, honestly. I don't know, but I am not siding with Wagner here. What I do know is that Wagner must lose. Prigozhin is far worse than Putin, and honestly, I don't see him winning either. Over the years, Putin has amassed so many different forces to squash any rebellion that revolution is impossible. Then again, he was never challenged by the armed force. Overall, civilians will suffer if this doesn't end quickly. My hope is that Belarus rebels and Ukraine gains back its territory. Now seems like a perfect opportunity. I also think that marks the end of Putin too, not in a sense that he will be toppled, but in a sense that he has now lost everything. He lost any sort of meaningful international relationships. He crushed the economy, worsened already bad demographical crisis, lost the war in Ukraine, and now gave power and guns to people he has no direct control over, and they rebel. It's over. It was stupid to annex Crimea. It was stupid to invade Ukraine. It was stupid to arm a mercenary group. Edit. Thanks for the miracle award, Ulmao. Edit 2. Seems like Prigozhin just ordered retreat saying they do not want to spill Russian blood. What a nice guy. I don't know what that was or what will happen next. It seems unlikely, but I hope that somehow Putin and Prigozhin kill each other and somehow Russia ends up with competent and benevolent leadership for the good of Ukraine and for the good of Russia. That would be ideal. Unfortunately, years of propaganda made it virtually impossible. My hope is that in a couple of years new leader emerges that will take a course for peace, and he won't be as authoritarian, allowing truly competent leader to replace him down the line. For y'all's sakes, I hope so too. It was unexpected, sure, but it makes sense that he did it. And the big question right now is who sides with who. Prigozhin alone cannot do much. I mean, he can kick police who are defending Moscow ATM, but he doesn't have nearly enough forces to fight a civil war. However, it would be foolish to assume that all Russian elites unanimously support Putin. As for the perspective of Prigozhin taking Putin's place, he is not any better. His men are criminals and mercenaries, can't imagine any good coming from them. The only good thing he will bring is adequate approach to this war. Unlike Putin, Prigozhin gets information firsthand and knows how it's come the front lines, but it can mean an end of the war as well as more desperate effort to fight it. Wagner's current message is we're out to have revenge against people who betrayed us and to put an end to lies and corruption of Russian government. You are not our enemy, your high command is. Don't stand in our way and we will not harm you. And you know what? I'ma not stand in their way. Fuck that. Edit. Okay, which of you MFS decided to give me a Murica award? You people are hilarious, lol. Edit 2. After a round of negotiations, Wagner seems to have backed down. They are leaving Moscow region and Rostov city. No fighting happened, but I'm sure important things will follow after these negotiations. He doesn't have nearly enough forces to fight a civil war. He seems to not be having too many troubles with force generation. As the US has demonstrated over and over again, taking ground is easy with the right strategy and equipment. Holding ground and governing it is anything but. He's literally following their game plan for the start of the Ukraine war. We'll see how his lines hold up. Are you here? To be fair, I'm too tired to think literally anything of it. It all went downhill long time ago and I can't bring myself to hope things would get better. I just want to live to see the moment when it's all over. I hope I'll get to see that day. I hope you do too, as a student of history. It seems as if the Russian people have almost always been dealt a rather lousy hand by the powers that be. I hope this ends with a quickness and brings the Russian people a chance at new leadership into the modern world. Russians has always been dealt a lousy hand and faced hardships because they have always had strongman leaders, tsars and dictators since the beginning of time. There will always be corruption, violence and poverty in Russia until they elect leaders that serve the people and not themselves. Look for strong public unions, equality under the law for people and lawmakers alike. My advice would be to copy how the happiest countries in the world is governed. The wish to do exactly that is how at least her revolution started, and they did not work out that way. Russian here, living in Rostov-on-Don, the city where all this mess started, replying under my real name because fuck it. My reaction at the end of the day can be summed up as, what the fuck was that? It's late evening here, and I've been up since 7 o'clock, so I'm too tired to think rationally. Here's a dump of thoughts that I managed to squeeze out of my mildly drunk brain. First, I'm really glad that the coup didn't pan out, because if it did pan out, we'd have a literal psychopath for a president, and that would be a fate far worse than what we currently have. Second, this isn't over. This coup attempt has completely nullified any remaining authority per respect. Sorry. Can't remember the right word of Putin, Shoigu the Minister of Defense, and Gerasimov the Chief of the General Staff. All three have completely lost their face. Not a peep has been here. From Shoigu during all day. Gerasimov is said to be hiding somewhere in Rostov, and Putin couldn't pacify his former cook, but Lukashenko did. Plus the fact that said former cook has publicly disobeyed a direct order coming from the President of Russian Federation. Will Putin just let it slide? Will the army respect him after that? I'm grabbing my popcorn. And third, people here just don't give a fuck anymore. Everybody is just going about their business. Stores are half empty. Almost nobody is stockpiling food. There isn't a occasional guy or to carrying a jug of water. But that's it. No stampedes, no panic. People take selfies with Wagner tanks and chat with the marks guarding their perimeter. I guess we're too tired. So first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to help us understand this terrible thing you're going through. I'm trying to understand more about nullifying respect/authority. I have lots of questions. Were there many who respected their authority rather than just fearing them? And how have their thoughts changed? Do you think any people will behave differently now because of this massive low SS of face? Will troops behave differently? Just seeing the question made me think of the Simpsons gag where Lisa gets a letter from her pen pal. Dear Lisa, as I write this, I am very sad our president has been overthrown and replaced by the benevolent General Krull. All hail Krull and his glorious new regime. Sincerely, little girl. Don't blame me, I voted for Kodos. How do you know? Can you tell the difference between Kang and Kodos? Kang is the hot one. Personally, I'm scared to write here. I think we're being watched. Edited, okay, I'll say something. The revolution never ended well, so I feel terrible now. However, I'm fed up with the power we have now, which can't either admit a mistake or do something else normal, so I don't mind if there's a change. I hope you understand everything what I wrote. Edited too. At first I was shocked, but now I'm glad that it ended, still. As a person living in Russia, whose family is experiencing horror in Ukraine, I also don't really want it to come to blood. However, I don't think that this march of justice was in vain. Personally, I'm scared to write here. I think we're being watched. Guys, they're using some kind of code here. Any crackers able to decrypt it? Ogonpo Godovnosti. It says be sure to drink your Ovaltine. I live in Moscow, bought some popcorn and just stare. Everything happening in my country for the last 2 decades is just something that most of us and me as well BTW. I was born when Putin was already a president, can't control, hope to close my eyes and open them again when there will be no shit. Think can't say more because we are being watched now. Be safe and enjoy your popcorn. I've never voted for Putin or supported his decisions. Since he invaded Ukraine, I don't care what happens to Russia anymore. All I want is for it to stop being able to start wars. After that we can begin building something better. The Russian reputation has been badly damaged. To be fair, it wasn't great to start with. I appreciate any real Russian response here, but I also appreciate those who would rather not. It's better you protect yourself if you think comment could cause you harm. Stay safe and know that nobody blames you for your government. I will just upvote and thank you for understanding. Don't worry if we're being watched, at least they'll see how witty and charming we are. Oh, this is being watched, but I'm not Russian. To the government Russians reading this, fuck you. I'll beat you on CSGO any day of the week, you fucks. Lol, got em. Meanwhile from Ukraine. That was a lot of popcorn eating. They have to film it first, after calling the folks that popcorn will last 23.7 seconds. One mad tyrant is rebelling against another for the right to usurp the people. Just when things started looking good for me and my family, this whole random chimp event starts. I don't feel I have the right to complain because Ukraine is having it way worse, but still would be nice to go to sleep, not tea. Hinking you might not wake up. I'm sure plenty of Ukrainians share the same thought. Worst case scenario is Prigozhin taking the power and bringing total mobilization with him. Describing best case scenario might get me buried alive in the nearest forest. Cherish the peace you have and guard it with all you have. Well said, take nothing for granted. Peace is a beautiful thing and the world is so destabilized. So many things happening around the world that were unthinkable when I was a child. If you describe the situation in one sentence, one bastard rebelled against another, I imagine how surprised the West will be if Prigozhin comes to power. Edit, it's a fucking circus. He turned his people back. I'm laughing like a madman because that's all I can do. The West may be surprised, but they might also be thrilled. I think the West, or at least its intelligence agencies, may prefer Prigozhin for one simple reason: he is easier to remove. Putin has established relationships with powerful enemies of the West and can claim, albeit fraudulently, that he as duly elected. If Prigozhin comes to power, he would be an unelected mercenary with no meaningful relationships on an international stage. This could be a path for more direct involvement from the West. On top of all of this, China is foaming at the mouth looking at Vladivostok.